There's nothing much to do, Olive, except to be hopeful moving forward, and to see that President Ruto keeps to his promises and pledges he made to Kenyans.
All right. So Kenyans will bear the brunt of repaying the Chinese loan should SGR business reduce. This is the gift, to put it one way, that keeps on giving. President Uhuru Kenyatta, or rather now the former President Uhuru Kenyatta, Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President, referred to him as retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, had promised to make the terms of this deal public. That never happened. Are you hopeful, Asaska, that under the regime of Dr. William Samoei Ruto, that will change?
I hope so. Olive, remember that our constitution upholds transparency and openness as anchored in Article 10, Article 35, Sub-Article 3, as well as Article 232 of our constitution. And this has been buttressed by the Access to Information Act of 2016. And if you remember, Olive, on the campaign trail, President Ruto did promise Kenyans that he'll make these contracts public. And myself and many other Kenyans are really looking forward to peruse these contracts from the expressway to the SGR and many others. So I think if President Ruto keeps to his promise, I think we'll be able to access, look at the terms of these loans. Did they have value for money for Kenyans, and what impact will these loans have on taxpayers?
Okay. But Carol,
yes,
you know, not to be a wet blanket, but don't you think there was perhaps merit in what President Uhuru Kenyatta had sought to do? If you read this report by P. Tamburu, who says his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta moved cargo clearance to the Nairobi Inland Container Depot to help ease congestion at the Mombasa port and boost its competitiveness, while also boosting traffic on the SGR to drive revenue for debt repayment and support operations. The decision by Mr. Kenyatta boosted SGR operations, with cargo forming nearly 90% of its operations from a revenue stand, and 8% proportion of the country's revenue that were lost, by the transfer of port operations from Mombasa. But the expected immediate impact of reverting port operations to Mombasa will be a shift to road haulage, slashing cargo businesses for the SGR. This will come with implications for the taxpayer, since the SGR has debt obligations that the National Treasury would have to foot through public coffers. What do you make of this? Catch-22?
I mean, it's definitely a catch-22. And yes, I know what Peter Mburu has said here. Uhuru Kenyatta moved cargo clearance to Nairobi Inland Container to help ease congestion. But we also know that on the ground, how that was implemented was very punitive to very many people along that chain. You know, a lot of business was removed from the port, and even in easing that so-called congestion, what really happened was that a lot of business was removed from the port. So do you ease congestion by removing a port from the port to inland? And I even had very many business people complaining that once your cargo landed at the port, you were given 4 days to remove it and put it on the SGR and bring it inland for, you know, for all that. And for many people, that was an impossibility, because even how once your goods have landed, removing them from the ship to the port would take more than those 4 days. And after that, you'd be hit by compulsory demurrage charges, which were very expensive. So even how this was implemented was very suspicious, and was seen as being done to benefit one person, because even the deals that were done with this SGR, you know, all those contracts, we never really saw them, you know, with the public. Of course, there are people who must have seen them. So even how that was implemented, I think, was very problematic. And I think this is what Ruto is trying to sort out. However, usually when you're moving from one extreme to the other extreme, you'll see some of these things. So now you remove all the clearance from this so-called inland port back to the port, and then it means that there is no cargo on the SGR, and that means higher loans, higher interests. on this deal. And I think at some point we'll find a workable middle. So we've shifted from this point, we've come to this point, and we can already see what the problems are. So I think we'll have to find a way to do some clearance at the port, restore some business, you know, at the port, but also find a way to make the SGR a viable project. We can decide not to do that, but we will not, you know, the loans and the debts we have on that SGR are not going away. We'll still have to pay them. So we must find a way to make that SGR viable. It's there, it's been built, we're not going to destroy it. It's already there. So as you say, it's the gift that keeps on giving. It's the albatross around all our collective necks. And we must find a way of making it productive. We must find a way of making it profitable. If not, we just continue sinking into this hole that we find ourselves in.